Joining me is Lieutenant Colonel Michael Moffett. He's retired. Mike, I want to continue with the Memorial Day. One of the things that interests me is sort of the antecedents of the Memorial Day, the decoration of the graves. And, during the break I was thinking a little bit about it, and it's, there weren't, who were the survivors? Was it family members? I mean, was it parents? Was it?
Well, families, almost every family had to have been impacted when 600,000
and they're mostly men that died.
Were killed.
Were they their wives and?
Yeah, well, family members, so many widows, and it's an interesting thing to me. I mentioned in the first segment about the African Americans having one of the first big time commemorations of the war dead, but women, I think, were prime movers behind the establishment of this annual holiday, Decoration Day, later Memorial Day, because there were so many widows and orphan or kids of slain soldiers. So this really, interestingly, I think, is a holiday that probably more than any other holiday is the impetus behind it was female.
And I mean, it's because it was a day that was relatively neutral. I mean, in the context of the Civil War, neither side could say it's honoring their side. Right. It really was meant to pay respect to those soldiers who died.
Yeah, absolutely. And the May 30th piece of it is I touched on last, or you just mentioned, a day that neither side could claim. Early May. I mean, I'm a history guy, and I have all these dates in my head, and so May 30th is kind of a neutral day, as we mentioned before. So that became the Memorial Day or Decoration Day. In fact, it was called My grandfather always referred to it as Decoration Day. It wasn't until after World War II, and actually in the 1960s, under the Johnson administration, that it formally became known as Memorial Day. And the May 30th day, it stayed May 30th until the 70s, when I think it was 1968, they passed this law to create these 3-day weekends. So it became the last Monday in May, and of course, I was never in favor of that. And interestingly, New Hampshire was one of the last, maybe the last, to we used to celebrate May 30th as a state holiday, but eventually, state holiday, federal holiday, we finally, I think, were the last state to go with the last Monday in May.
Do you think it loses its significance by moving? I mean,
yes. We used to celebrate Washington's birthday, which was February 22nd, and then now we have this amorphous President's Day, which, in my opinion, is almost meaningless. It's a 3-day, it's a car sale weekend. And so I think George Washington has suffered by this, and I think that I understand the 3-day weekend. And what's really nice about this Memorial Day weekend is we're back.
It is actually on
May 30th. Yes, Decoration Day, May 30th is this Monday. So every 7 years, it's celebrated when it should be, in my opinion. To answer your question, sure.
I want to go back to the women who first did this, and can you paint a picture of what you think it might have been like back then? A
great question, John, and that's why I love history, and I've taught it. And if you have any imagination to just cast your mind back to the poignancy and the sorrow of losing loved ones, young loved ones in most cases, 20-something men, 20-year-old, 30-year-old men, and gone forever. And to keep their memories alive and to honor their legacies and their memories, I'm sure that birthdays and holidays, but a special day like Memorial Day, to decorate the graves and visit the graves of lost loved ones. And of course, also a lot of these soldiers never came back. They disappeared in the
No one knows what happened.
Yeah, in the wilderness of Virginia. And so, Decoration Day, Memorial Day, was a way at the town monument for the Civil War for these soldiers who never returned. It was a way to come together as a community and bring flowers out and to, keep their memories alive.
And and it's amazing with every town, with all the monuments through New England.
Yep.
It really drives home how important that is. But I've got to stop here. When we return, we're going to continue the conversation focusing on modern day vets and Memorial Day. So please stay with us.